I'm a senior at Clay County High School. Very nice to meet you all.
My name is Ivy Taylor. I'm a junior at Clay County High School. Our teacher is Mr. Philip Dobbins, and our coach is Mr. Mike Mullins.
Well, thank you very much. So we're doing question 2, and I will read the question. A Bill of Rights is what the people are entitled to against every government on earth, general or particular, and what no just government should refuse or rest on inference. Do you agree or disagree with Thomas Jefferson? What are the advantages and disadvantages of a national Bill of Rights as compared to state bills of rights? What are the differences between positive and negative rights, and which are more important to the preservation of liberty? You may begin.
The right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness is to this panel an essential right to any functioning society. Sadly, throughout history, many basic human rights have been mostly ignored. Through the more modern documents, like the Bill of Rights, were derived from many different documents spanning all the way back to 1215 with the Magna Carta. Gradually, the concept of human rights began to broaden with things like the notable forerunner to the Bill of Rights, the Virginia Declaration of Rights of 1776.
We as people must understand the reason behind the creation of the Bill of Rights, that it was not drafted to give their people their rights, but to protect our inalienable rights that are endowed by our Creator. As Jefferson states, the government derives its power from the governed, and it is the right of the people to abolish any form of government that becomes destructive towards these ends.
The United States Constitution's Bill of Rights protects American citizens' rights from the national government. A Bill of Rights gives formal recognition to certain fundamental human rights. In most states, such as West Virginia, rights are given within the National Bill of Rights are also given in the State Bill of Rights. In the National Bill of Rights, Americans are guaranteed the right to keep and bear arms, and in the West Virginia Constitution, Article 3-22, West Virginians are also guaranteed the same right. However, if a certain right that is included in the National Bill of Rights is not written in a State Bill of Rights, then that said right can be extended and applied to the states through selective incorporation.
Selective incorporation is a constitutional law concept that extends some of the protections in the Bill of Rights to state governments. When the Bill of Rights was first created, the courts upheld that its protections were not extended to the states and local governments. However, the post-Civil War era, beginning in 1865, gave rise to the incorporation of amendments, therefore applying more rights to states and people over time. Gradually, various portions of the Bill of Rights have been held inapplicable to the state and local governments by incorporation to the 14th Amendment in 1868. Even though the National Bill of Rights gives us protection against the national government, State Bill of Rights still plays a large role in freedom.
State bills of rights protect freedoms in specific states, giving additional protections within that state from the state government. However, the downfall with that is that the right you guaranteed in one state may not be guaranteed in another state, much like we saw in our previous government, the Articles of Confederation. Another drawback of bills of rights in general is that it gives virtually unlimited power to judges to impose subjective interpretations, many of which may be in direct conflict with its original values of slavery. Rights in theory will protect society from rogue American society.
So I'm just going to say, did we lose some part of your presentation, Ivy?
We did. She should probably turn off her video and.
Yeah, why don't you turn off your video and say your last 30 seconds that we probably missed before we continue, because I think we missed it, and I'm just going to add time to your presentation.
Okay.
Okay, sorry, Ivy.
State of rights protect freedoms in specific states, giving additional protections within that state from the state government. However, the downfall with that is that we're guaranteed in one state. Another drawback of bills of rights in general is that it gives virtually unlimited power to judges to impose subjective interpretations, many of which may be in direct conflict with its original values and intent. They protect citizens from other legislative. A Bill of Rights in theory will protect society from rogue politicians. Overall, bills of rights, state or national, are of the utmost importance for preservation.
The difference between negative and positive rights is that one requires action while the other requires inaction. Negative rights are the requirements of someone else not to interfere in your ability to obtain something. Positive rights are the requirement of someone else to provide you with something.
Is that the end of the presentation, Ava?
Negative rights
or-
are often claimed.
Okay.
Wait,
I'm sorry, Ivy, could you repeat it?
Yes. Negative
Ava, would it be all right if I continue with this part so they can understand it? Because Ava, all
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
They are basic human rights.
Okay, Ivy, we're gonna let Cheston pick up for you, dear, because you're freezing and you're breaking up too much, okay? I'm just adding another minute. So Cheston, go ahead and pick up.
Negative rights are often called liberties because they are basic human rights, stating that no one can interfere with them. An example of negative right would be the one in the Second Amendment in our Bill of Rights, whereas positive rights are referred to as an essential because they are things someone must provide to us. An example of positive rights would be in our Sixth Amendment to have the right to an attorney. Most of the rights seen in the Bill of Rights, excluding the Sixth and Seventh, are negative rights, including the point of negative liberty has less to do with the liberty guarantees and more with the liberty gives people. The chance to do for themselves. Despite the lack of guarantees, the social science and history may well reveal the respecting negative liberties as a long, successful track record making for better lives.
Okay, thank you. That's the end of the presentation, right? We're going to start
Yes.
with the follow-up questions. So now I'm starting with the 8 minutes for your follow-up questions. Judges, please continue.
All right. Well, thank you for that terrific presentation. So Ivy started to mention this, that there are many individual rights that the court has recognized that are not found in the language of the Constitution. So, for example, recently in the Obergefell case, the court recognized the right of individuals who are the same sex to marry. When is it appropriate for the court to recognize these rights that are not explicitly laid out in the text of the Constitution?
Personally, I feel that marriage should not be something that is taken up by the government. I feel that marriage should be a consensual, basically, not, more or less, not like a contract that the government has control of, more in the hands of the people and those specific people who decide to get married.
When a person's just human rights, their most basic human rights, are ignored and that's not put in the Bill of Rights, that's when I feel the government should step in and do something about it.
I agree with Ava. As stated by Thomas Jefferson, the life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness, and I feel that marriage would fall under those characteristics.
You
You all did, oh, go ahead, Judge.
Oh, sorry. No, go ahead, Senator.
Okay, so you all did a great job of going through the Bill of Rights and listing and some of the rights that are enumerated, either positive or negative, in the Bill of Rights, and emphasize their importance in our American society. However, are there times when government can limit the rights that are in the Bill of Rights? And if government can, what should be a court's reasoning to help us decide what limits are appropriate and what limits aren't?
Yes, the government definitely can restrict our rights. For example, the court case of Schenck versus the US. Free speech was restricted, can be restricted if there is a clear and present danger. And most of the times when your rights are restricted, the government does that to protect the people. And another thing, the government today we see with COVID-19, the government suggests that you wear a mask and social distance. the government can put these restrictions and suggestions in place, and they do that just so they can keep everybody safe.
I would just like
There
to
are
add.
also there
Go
are
ahead.
also restrictions amendment. You are not own a gun. If you have a mental disability, you have not, just for the safety of Americans.
I would just like to add to my teammates the necessary and proper clause that can limit your freedom of speech whenever it's not necessary.
Thank you. You both mentioned, well, you mentioned the role of the judiciary, and you talked about the limited power, sometimes concern over the limited power of judges who make subjective determinations. Has the Supreme Court, in its review of the Bill of Rights and issues related, always gotten it right? And can you cite any examples where, if they didn't get it right, they made any corrections?
Anytime one, go ahead, Ivy.
Hey,
If I heard your question right, I may have missed parts due to technical issues, but in court case Plessy versus Ferguson, they said that segregation was okay and that we could separate the whites and the African Americans, and then they overturned that with Brown versus Board. Plessy versus Ferguson was a time the courts got it wrong by saying that segregation was okay, and then later overturned it with Brown versus Board saying no, you cannot segregate.
and there has been many Supreme Court rulings that some group of people might feel that the Supreme Court may have got it wrong if they may disagree with it.
Thank you.
So when you look at the rights that are listed, are there any positive rights that perhaps our Constitution has missed and we should add them?
Are
Go ahead,
like,
Justin.
okay, I would feel, for an example, with our government employees, they whenever there's a governmental shutdown, they are essentially, they have to work, but they are essentially out of pay until the government becomes active again. I feel that a good right that might be well specified on would be that, government officials, which are government employees, would receive pay even when the government may be down.
Many people also believe that there should be a right to health care, which is an amendment, because many of our citizens don't have enough money to afford health care, and they believe that the government should be something that the government provides to.
Another right that I feel should be added to the Constitution, I don't know if it would explicitly be a positive right, but is a equal rights amendment for all people, regardless of religion, regardless of race or sexual orientation or any discriminatory factor. They should be guaranteed equal legal rights.
Another amendment that we could sort of tie into AVA's and just call it a human rights amendment would be a privacy amendment, especially in today's society. Every day, people's data is being bought and sold on the internet, and a right to privacy would come.
Ivy, could you repeat your last statement about a right to privacy?
Yes, the right to privacy amendment, and instead of amending two amendments, could just tie it together, sort of one stone, having an equal rights amendment and a right to privacy, sort of, especially with today and advancements, people's
Okay, and I added another 30 seconds. Does anyone want to say something after Ivy's comment?
Yes, they can hear you. Can I let Ivy speak through my phone?
Yes.
Okay, Ivy.
Okay, do they want me to continue talking or?
Just repeat what you said, Ivy.
Excuse me, I didn't hear you.
Could you repeat the last thing that you were saying to us because you broke up?
Yes, with today's many technological advancements, people's personal information is being leaked on the internet every day, and the privacy limit would put a stop to that, or at least slow it down, so people's personal information would not be getting leaked.
So are there any explicit rights?
And time, sorry.
All right, yes.
I'm sorry. I did give them a minute and a half more time for the tech problems, but we're 1924 now, so 9:24. So I think that's time.
Yeah.
Sorry, because it was such a wonderful conversation. Of course, we'd love to have listen to you students all day. But I think you've had enough conversations with us as well. Congratulations again to West Virginia for making it to the Nationals, and particularly congratulations to your teacher, Mr. Dobbins. I know it's been a trying year, and hopefully we can see you face to face next year, Mr. Dobbins. But it's been a real challenge for all of us, and you should be very proud of yourself, students, because you really performed very well. And the judges will now like to give you some feedback.
Well, what a terrific job, and I feel badly about the tech problems, but even with those tech problems, it was an extremely impressive performance. I thought your opening statements were really strong, going back all the way to the Magna Carta, recognizing the Virginia Declaration of Human Rights. Really understanding the difference, the pros and cons between state constitutions and federal constitutions. Really great work recognizing negative and positive rights. But I thought you were particularly strong in your answers to these questions, and kept getting stronger as it went on. So talking about the right to health care, equal rights amendment, privacy rights, recognizing that issues of COVID and mental disability can give the government the justification for intruding on rights. So just a very sophisticated understanding of these concepts, articulated very well. And I think you should be really proud of your knowledge of this material and your forceful and articulate presentation. So well done.
Thank you.
I would agree. I mean, listen, you guys did a fantastic job coming in for each other, and pinch hitting when you had to. I thought that was really great, and just kind of thinking on your feet. And then both in your statements and in your responses, you hit on constitutional cases, on different amendments to the Bill of Rights. You talked about selective incorporation and how important that is. What an important doctrine that is. Not every team has done that. And I think you might be the only team so far who has mentioned the Equal Rights Amendment as an issue. And so I think that, it's nice when, as we've been judging for a couple different teams, to still be getting some new information is very impressive. So good job. You guys did a very good job.
I agree with my colleagues. Nice job assisting each other amidst the expressions when there were the technical issues. It was obvious you were concerned, but didn't in any way take away from the efforts you put in and the presentation that you made. I do appreciate the examples you gave in response to the question about the positive rights and the pay for the federal employees, healthcare, and those. So wonderful examples. Well done.
And again, congratulations. and enjoy the rest of your Sunday. You should be very proud of yourself and the work that you've contributed to your own civic knowledge and understanding. So we certainly are proud of you. Congratulations, West Virginia, and to Mr. Dobbins. We really appreciate it. And